Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal are two of the best tennis players in the world. Whenever they have to play against each other, we as tennis fans expect to see a great match. The 2017 Australian Open final was one of those matches that lived up to its expectations, and in today's video, we will take a look at the tactics both players successfully used during this match. The first thing I need to be clear about is how we will break down this match. You see, usually I like to break down very close matches like this in two parts. In the first part, I analyze the tactics of the first player, and in the second part, I analyze the tactics of the second player. However, when I was trying to understand this match, I realized that this final was defined by constant changes and adaptations from both players. Player A tried something that got him great results. Then player B modified his tactics to counter players A game, and by doing so, he got the upper hand in the match. Player A realized this and changed his tactics once again. Then it was player B's turn to adapt his game and so on. For every move there was a counter. Because of this, I decided that to better show you the adaptations each player did throughout the final, it would be better to analyze this match set by set. So in this video, we will take a look at the first two sets. To start, let's talk about how Roger Federer won the first set. In my opinion, Roger won the first set for three reasons. First is the return of serve. According to the stats shown by Channel 7, Roger was able to aim Nadal's backhand on 77% of the points played with the second serve. This number is very important considering how much Nadal prefers to start building the point with his forehand. Besides this, Roger was also able to cause a lot of damage by returning Nadal's first and second serves very close or even inside the baseline. In fact, if we take a closer look at the service game where he got the break, we will see that he returned 4 serves using this tactic. The second reason is well known by many, but still important to mention it: Federer's court position. Federer is a player that likes to be in the offense as much as possible, and many times he achieves this by playing closer to the baseline. Playing closer to the baseline has many advantages. First, it allows you to take the ball early, which results in you taking time away from your opponents. Second, it makes the court smaller for your opponents. In other words, your opponents will have a tougher time creating spaces on the court whenever you play closer to the baseline. And third, it neutralizes high topspin balls like the ones Nadal likes to use. When you are playing many feet behind the baseline, the ball has enough space after bouncing to reach a high altitude. However, if you stand closer to the baseline, you will cut the trajectory of the ball, and in consequence you will be able to hit the ball at a more comfortable height. This is what many people call taking the ball on the rise. And finally, the last aspect I believe contributed to Roger Federer winning the first set is a combination of Federer's serve with the way Nadal tried to return the serve. This aspect was perhaps the most important, not only of the first set, but the entire match. You see, during this final, both players were always fighting for their positions in the court. Federer was always trying to force Nadal to play from the back of the court, and Nadal was doing the same. Achieving this goal was crucial for both of them. For Federer, it meant opening the spaces on the court and getting the upper hand on the opponent. For Nadal, it meant the same, along with the opportunity of causing damage with his high topspin balls. During rallies, both of them found some shots that forced the opponent to take a couple of steps back, and we will talk about those later on. For now, I want to discuss what happened with Roger Federer's service games in the first set. This drawing right here indicates the way Federer distributed both first and second serves during the first set. During this set, Federer had a 63% of first serves in. On the due side, he preferred the wide serve on both first and second serves. On the ad side, he went for an even distribution between the wide serve and the T serve during his first serves, while he preferred the T serve for the second serves. Against this distribution of serve, there wasn't much Nadal could do. He either missed the return, his return landed short, or he got pushed backwards, allowing Roger to take control of the point. As a result, Nadal only won 4 points out of 23 with Federer's serve, and among those 23 points, 15 were short rallies that had less than 4 shots. We get into the second set, and suddenly the match had a very interesting change in momentum. From only winning 4 points on the return of serve in the entire set, Nadal got 2 breaks of serve in a row and a 4-love lead. How did this happen? Did Federer start missing his first serve? Not quite. The numbers of the second set say Roger had a 64% of first serves in, which is almost identical to the number he got at the first set. But what's even more fascinating is that if we compare the distribution of serve from the first set to the one of the second set, they look pretty similar. In my opinion, the reason for this drastic change is Nadal's return position. To better view this, I merged a couple of images into one big image. Here you can see the different positions from where Nadal tried to return to Federer's serve during the first set. Now, let's compare this to the same image from the second set. As you can see, there is a difference in the position he used to return from the deuce side. During the first set, Nadal tried to return the first serves just a couple of feet behind the baseline. However, during the second set, he positioned himself a little bit more to his right. This was probably Nadal's first important adaptation of the match. Nadal is showing us here how he realized that Federer was using the wide serve more often and decided to take a couple of steps to his right in an attempt of hitting better returns. As a result, Nadal was able to return 5 out of 6 wide serves on the second set, which represents a big improvement when you compare his results of the first set. From the outside, there wasn't a big difference on his position. What changed here was the return shot. During the first set, whenever Federer hit a T-serve as a second serve, Nadal replied with his backhand. However, during the second set, he made the time to run around his backhand to hit high topspin 40s. This high topspin ball became the first step in Nadal's recovery. From there, he was able to win court position while pushing Federer back. Once again, the number shows us how effective Nadal became just by making a couple of adaptations on his return of serve. During the first set, Nadal only won 4 points out of 23 with Federer's serve. However, during the second set, he won 12 out of 25. That's about 3 times better results. So, after seeing all these numbers and interpretations, what can we as tennis players learn from Rafa and Roger? In my opinion, in these 2 sets, they taught us 3 very important things that every tennis player can replicate during their matches. First is the importance of your position on court. Whenever you play a match, it's very important to understand what you want to do during that match. Which shots do you want to use? How do you see yourself winning points? Answer these questions and choose a position on court that allows you to execute your strategy. Second is the importance of evaluating your performance while playing. This final didn't have the start Rafa could have wanted. However, Rafa didn't panic. He understood where he could make some adaptations to his game to get better results. And finally, it's about the adaptation itself. Sometimes when we are losing a match, we tend to believe that only by making huge changes in our game we could come back into score. However, that's not necessarily true. As we saw, the changes Nadal had to make here didn't require him to get out of his comfort zone, nor something very difficult to execute. I don't want to say goodbye without asking your opinion about this analysis. Do you share my opinion or do you disagree? Please let me know in the comment section. Also, I'll be releasing soon a second part of this analysis where we will take a look at the tactics both Roger and Rafa used during the third and fourth set. So, if you can want to miss it, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications. And if you want to reach me, talk about strategies, share your experiences on court, or ask for advice, I will leave a link to our Facebook group on the video description below. My name is Jorge, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.